and welcome to the roller coaster that is the stock market. This is Gurula. We're looking at Monday's activity, Monday, and today is May 9th. And we've got, looks like a huge market sell-off based on futures. So the market's going to open down. It's been moving down for quite some time. And we're looking for opportunities here, looking at trading SPY as our initial thought. RIVN, Ford is selling 8 million shares, and then some other undisclosed entity selling another 16 million. And the average daily volume for RIVN is about 17 million. And right now, RIVN has recovered somewhat, but let's see, it is currently down 17.6%. So it was all the way down to 2284, so it was almost 20. So RIVN is probably going to open and climb on the open. I'm going to mark this 2608 because with this 5-day EMA, 20-day EMA coming down, that's going to present some problems for RIVN. And this is ATO trailing stop, AT on the 30-minute. So it's hard to tell what's going to happen here. We could get a bounce because looking at the 1 hour even, there's this candle which signals reversal. So we could hit this 25.13 and decline, but looking for at least a 20% decline on RIVN today. Depends on what it does on the open. Could present a buying opportunity, but I expect the IV is pretty high. And right now we have 7.6 million shares that have already traded. So that's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So good morning, Princess. How are you this morning?
Doing well, Richard, doing well. I'm looking forward to seeing how the day turns out.
Yeah, I'm looking at, as I mentioned today, trading SPY to the upside, at least initially, because what I'm seeing on the VIX is falling. And it's going to find support down here around 31.36, but it's falling on all time frames. So that would not be surprising, given the fact that the market was down so much. But I'm looking at, again, I have a little bit of extra cash because my balance, my target was 1,000. I'm currently sitting at 1247. So I have an excess. I'm going to call it an excess of 247. So with that, I'm going to look at using some of that, put some of that excess to work. And instead of buying outside the money, I'm going to buy in the money calls today, at least the first time. Or I may actually buy 2 contracts. So looking at today's expiration, well, there's a lot of open interest at 412. I've got a target on SPY right now at 407, and it's currently at 405. So I don't know what the 405 calls are going to be, but I'm going to send this to my active trader. And I'm going to watch and see what happens here. And it looks like we're going to get a move to the upside. If we can cross over this 9-day EMA, it's always good to be patient. Let me go to a 5-minute chart. All right, so we're going to just kind of take a look here and keep an eye out. Lots of volatility. I want to mark this opening high here. And see if we can break that. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and buy my call. Mark the opening low. I'm gonna move this up. The reason why I set my target at 407.24 because this is where the ATR trailing stop is on the 30-minute chart, and it's also where the 20-day EMA is on the 1-hour chart. So they come together here. So that signals to me that there could be some really strong resistance there. But depending upon how it handles that, I may stay in this trade. The VIX is climbing, but I'm pretty okay. I'm comfortable with where I am here. So this may be a scalp. I may only be in this for a little while. Because again, I think the market overall is weak. And we're seeing some of that now. My opening low down. With my opening high up. I'm going to use this trailing stop here as my stop or stop loss. And actually what I have on the VIX here is I've got this trailing stop here as well at the top. So keep an eye, I'm going to set this opening, reset the opening low. And again, market did not behave as I expected. My anticipation was that the market would open and this SPY would climb. However, there's continued pressure to the downside. And we're just dealing with a lot of volatility. So I have at risk everything above the amount that was my target for Friday. And I'm willing to risk that on this trade. I do believe we're going to hit the 407 today. It may take a bit of time. So the Dow is currently at 475 and S&P is at 6788, NASDAQ at 228. It's recovered some of the lows because it was really significantly lower earlier today. I think the NASDAQ was beyond 500. All right, so we're getting a move to the upside. So it looks like our support here held. We do have an established opening low and opening high. We'll change that, or we may change that based on this next candle. If it closes inside, then the opening high and opening low will hold. Only took one position. Not going to do anything excessive, not going to take too much risk. already determined how much risk I'm willing to take. And I did risk the overage, the amount that was above my $1,000 target. And just taking a look at the VIX. All right, VIX is falling. So we talked about RIVN. This is where, if I was trading RIVN, this is where I would look to be buying puts at about 26.08. And the reason for that is this is where the 8-year trailing stop is on the 30-minute. And that's a good indication of where things might be in, where RIVN might be in trouble. It got rejected here on the 1 hour at the 5-minute, 5-day EMA. And on the 4 hour, you've got the 5-day EMA coming down here to provide additional resistance here at this 30-minute ATR. All right, so going back to SPY, which is, again, very volatile. So SPY is below the VWAP now. Well, it looks like the VWAP is providing support. I'm going to bring this up on my screen so we can see it. Well, actually, I want to keep this up because I want to use the ATR trailing stop here as support. So I sort of expected that the SPY was going to consolidate here. I do like Caterpillar to the upside. I like Cleveland Cliffs to the upside. Devon to the upside as well. Plug. Qualcomm to the downside. And of course, it's doing exactly opposite of what I would think that it would do, but I think this would be the place to buy, because on Qualcomm, you've got this algorithmic resistance here. You got the inside candle. You've got the 5-day coming down. You've got this 20-day. So I would buy Qualcomm once it hits it, if it gets this far. But once it starts showing the decline, I would be buying Qualcomm. All right, so let's see. We've got some movement now on the SPY. All right, so we're positive. And again, looking at 407.24 is the target. And then watching it closely once it gets there. This is the 200-day EMA coming down. With the VIX falling, watching the VIX carefully. So 32.47 is where the 200-day EMA is on the 5-minute, but I would use this ATR trailing stop for the VIX. So I'm going to have to move my opening high for the SPY, because that is now up here. All right, so what we really have is a consolidation. And I'm not a fan of trading consolidations because you don't know which way it's going to break out. So what I may do is the next opportunity I get for profit, I may take it and just wait. Unless we can break this opening high. If we break the opening high, then that would signal me to stay in this trade. But if we sort of keep going sideways, doesn't really help. I guess the good part though is I did buy in the money, so I'm not going to be as impacted by sideways movement as if I bought outside the money. And we are bullish on the VWAP, so that's another positive thing about this trade so far. I'm going to mark this on my chart just so I can take a look at some other things. All right, so 403.86. This is on the 5-minute. All right, so let's pull up a different view here on SPY. We're going to take a look at SPY from the perspective of the volume profile and the VWAP. So what's interesting here on this chart, the 5-day EMA is above the VWAP and coming down. This doesn't have the overnight, so this would be from Friday. The volume point of control is here, the white line. I'm going to mark that. Just so we can see where it is and if it moves, which direction. We want it to move up rather than down. If it's moving up, that means the value of the SPY is increasing. If it's moving down, of course, it's just the opposite. So the green line is where the most highest price was paid for SPY. The red line is the lowest price where the most volume occurred. And the white line is where the most transactions have occurred. So that was at 405.23, thereabouts, is what people have been paying and considered to be a fair price for SPY. So we want to stay above this line for sure. And is this the 5? This is the 5-day EMA. So this is a concern, the fact that the 5-day EMA is here, because that's going to present some resistance. I'm going to make sure I'm ready if I need to exit this trade. So as you can see, we are consolidating, but we are staying above the VWAP, this purple line here. We are above the volume point of control, which is where the fair price is for the SPY. This is where the most transactions have occurred. So this is a spinning top, doji spinning top. And I'm not really liking the fact that the 5-day EMA is moving down so quickly. Or that the value is dropping. But I'm going to stay in this to the upside. Unless for some reason we close below the 8-year trailing stop on the 5-minute. It looks like the VIX is moving up again. So it's found support on the 1 hour. Oh, there we go. That's going to be a problem. All right, so we may have to just get out of this trade here, given what's happening with the VIX, but we need this candle to close. We're not going to be shaken out of it. And there's about 3 minutes left. So you see this line here, this volume point of control is moving down. That means the value or the perceived value of the SPY is dropping, because this is where we started. Now it's moving down. So what people are willing to pay is dropping. And we may just get out of this and take a move to the downside. But I'm going to give it a few minutes. I want this, again, I want this candle to close before I make my decision on what to do. Otherwise, this 5-day, this 8-year trailing stop here on the 5-minute will be support. So we have about 2 minutes, a little over 2 minutes left on this candle. I'm going to trust my charts. I've decided how much I was willing to risk. The VIX is about to hit this resistance here. So if it breaks that, then the SPY is going to really tank. So I have a minute and a half on this candle. Just waiting patiently. Just under a minute. So when this candle closes, then the next, if it closes below, then it will have broken this 8-year trailing stop on the 5-minute chart. And then the next candle will be critical. So we have 25 minutes, 25 seconds. And I'm going to get ready to make a decision. All right, so it looks like that support level held. So this 8-year trailing stop is pretty significant support. If we break this low here of 403.27, that would not be a good sign. And that would be an indication that I should probably consider to take my losses on this trade and just wait. So I'm going to go back to the previous view. So what we need to do is clear this 5-day, 20, and 50-day EMA here on the 5-minute chart, which is currently resistance. And of course, this is the original volume point of control. That's also resistance. So you can see the significance of the ATR trailing stop. And I use them to keep me in trades longer and to identify selling targets as well. Had I not been watching this ATR trailing stop, I could have easily made a decision to exit this and take the loss. But knowing this is here, knowing this how key this support level is, it kept me in the trade a little bit longer. If it had broken this ATR trailing stop, then that would have been a signal that this was going to continue moving to the downside, and I would have had to take an exit. All right, so we're above the original volume point of control. We're above the resistance. We need to close here. And then we need the next candle to be above the volume point of control. So we have it's like about 2 minutes and 15 seconds before this candle closes. We've got declining volume on the downward move, so that's good. It's a lot of volatility. And I really need to see SPY break this opening high, because I don't want to just sit in this trade if it's going to go sideways. All right, so volume's not that great on this upside because we only have 15 seconds left before it closes. Looks like volume is declining. The next candle should open above support. And we need it to move up. And we need to break this resistance to the upside. All right, so let's see where the volume point of control is now. There wasn't a lot of volume here, so my guess is the value is still below the original volume point of control on SPY. Oh, actually, it's higher. So it looks like the value is higher than it was originally. So, and again, we just got, it's just volatile. Now it's falling. So there's a struggle going on between those who are on the upside of this move and those who are on the downside. Looking at the VWAP though, the VWAP tells us that we're still bullish. We're above the VWAP, which is right here. We're above the volume point of control, which is down here now. If we can get a candle to close above this 5-day EMA, which is significant resistance, particularly as it is now in line with this green line, which signals where people have paid the most for this, then that would be a really strong sign that we can break this opening high. And we're only targeting 407.24. That's where we want to watch carefully. Right now, time is simply eroding the value of our premium. I'm satisfied with the trade so far. But I do need to see movement above this 5-day EMA here to have some comfort. So any questions about where we are, what's in the decision making and why? Or, and again, you know, I jumped into this early, and as we can see, that was a bit more risk than one would normally take with a small account. The reason for my decision in jumping in early was because I was above my target from Friday in terms of my gains in my account, and I was willing to put some additional money at risk. And I'm trying to pull up a different chart. So 405.84 is where that 5-day EMA is. I want to keep that number in mind, 405.84. So I like Cleveland Cliffs to the upside. That's going to be a nice trade. $405.84 is where the 5-day EMA is. And it's probably moving down. Everything's red today. So we're almost at 10 o'clock. My ideal would be to be out of this by 10:15, but that's not going to happen. It doesn't look like, at least not on a successful trade. By buying an in-the-money call, that was certainly a smart move. And now we're moving back to the downside. So there's weakness in the market, obviously. My initial thoughts was to buy Friday expiration on the call and to buy puts today as a hedge expiring today. But I thought against it because I thought that would put too much capital at risk. And we're going to test this ATR trailing stop again. Looks like we're going to get a higher low this time. We've got declining volume. Let's see what the volume looks like on the options. Wow, so 18,000 contracts have traded. Open interest is 1,000. So those are folks probably who are selling calls, not buying. So that means bearish. Which says to me I should try and find some profit in this trade and take it. There's quite a struggle going on in the market today. I want to take a look at the breadth of the market and see what is happening. So these are companies that are above the 50-day simple in the SPY. All right, so they're moving up so that the breadth of the market is good. So the market overall is moving to the upside, looks like. So that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. Okay, that's a good sign for our trade. The overall market is moving to the upside. So that's a positive. And obviously the SPY is heavily weighted with some particular stocks like Apple and Amazon and Microsoft, etc. But the market overall seems to be moving in the upward direction. So we're going to again have our stop loss set here at 403.86. If we close below that, then I'm going to look for an exit. Otherwise, we're going to ride this out until we can get in profit. And then if we can get in profit, if we don't break this level here, this opening high, then we need to take our profit and simply wait if we're going to keep going sideways. So the VIX, is bearish. It's moving down. Here we have a shooting star, spinning top, so we're expecting the VIX to fall. May find support at 32 and change. We've got an 8-year trailing stop at 31 and change. So this is below the 5-day EMA. So again, it hit this algorithmic resistance here at 33.84 and got rejected. So we just have to be patient. The spinning top signals continuation to the downside. So do these. All right, so we're going to sit in this for a little bit. The fact that the 5-day EMA here is resistance is troubling. So again, we're going to test the support here to the downside. And remember, the more times you hit this support, the weaker it becomes. So we could end up breaking this 8-year trailing stop to the downside. Again, I'm looking for a candle close. So I'm going to stay in this for a little bit. And I do feel confident that we are going to get an upside move on the SPY today. May just have to look for another opening. So about 2 minutes on this candle. So if we make a new low, that would be a, so we have a low here of 403.27. Less than a minute. So I don't know if this is going to hold here. All right, so I'm out. I took my loss. I could have waited until it closed, but this is a long candle. I don't really like the way it looks here. So that trade was not profitable. And going to take a look and see what to do with this. I'm going to look at a couple of other opportunities. So we've got Caterpillar. And Caterpillar looks like it has fallen through its ATR trailing stop. Looking at RIVN again. So RIVN, this would be a time to look at a put here based on this shooting star. So I'm going to mark this opening low and opening high for RIVN. Apple. Devon. So Devon could be a trade because we wanted to trade that to the upside, but it's fallen through most of its support. falling through the ATR trailing stop here, but this is a 1 hour, so it could hold. I'm going to mark this. All right, looks like the SPY we got out, of course, and the SPY is moving back above the, it did break the ATR trailing stop, so that was a signal to exit. It's going to have trouble here, this resistance, so we'll just keep an eye on it. Plug looked like it could be an opportunity, but they are continuing to the downside, so everything's moving down. This is Cleveland Cliffs. So as we can see, the market appears to be indecisive and things seem to be moving sideways in most cases. So we don't really have a clear indication of direction. Dave, are you still in Devon calls?
Yes.
Okay. So RIVN could just consolidate here as well. All right, so I'm gonna just keep an eye on SPY. Look for another opportunity to enter. And right now, don't really have any real indication. We want to see some candles that signal reversal, or we want to see SPY break above the opening high, but then we've got this resistance up here. So that could be an indication of time to buy puts. It's a very interesting market, to say the least. The gap down was somewhat of a challenge today. So again, expecting SPY to climb to about 412, really. I mean, that's where I'm anticipating it will move to, because that's where the 5-day EMA is. That's not unusual. That's an $8 move. So SPY moves about $11 a day. But want to make sure that we protect our capital. And right now it still looks a little bearish. It is below the VWAP now, and the 5-day EMA has crossed beneath the VWAP. So let me pull that up and show you on the screen. So here's a 5-day EMA. It's crossed beneath the VWAP, which now says that this is bearish. So I may look at puts on SPY, but I need, because we've got the value moving down. This is the original volume point of control here, and now it's here. So there's decreasing value. And if we're trading SPY to the downside, need to know where is the target. Again, Cleveland Cliffs might be a really good trade to the upside. So trading SPY to the downside, where would the target be? 378, that's probably 400. And let's see if we can't find one. So 364 is really low. So the ATR, the 20-day EMA on the monthly is at 411. The 5 is coming down across the 20 on the weekly chart. So it looks like there's a little consolidation here on the weekly. So I'm going to take this candle. I want to mark that as a zone in the event we decide to take a downward trade on SPY. So we still don't have the volume. I mean, the volume is still declining. If we get a candle to the upside with volume, then that would signal an opportunity for us to get back into this trade. But so far that has not happened. We're just going through this consolidation. So this says downside movement here. And I'm going to be looking at puts on SPY. And we're at 403, just outside the money. No real conviction. Not wanting to trade in a consolidation. And that's what we have. So we need some direction. SPY is going to break out of this. We just don't know which way. My original thought, again, was to trade SPY to the upside, and it looked good on the open, but that gave way to weakness. Could have stayed in the trade. I mean, I had the capital to risk, but it didn't make sense to put all of it at risk, even though I had it. Because right now, for my total account value for the day, I am down. I'm down where I should be, where I wanted to be up. So I'm down 11.4% for the day, which is a fairly significant move to the downside on my investment. But my account is still at 1104, which is over my $1,000 target. So I feel comfortable with the money that was risked, that did risk. And now I'm looking for an opportunity to, again, gain back what I lost. But it appears that it looks like we're going to be moving to the downside on the SPY, even though it's significantly down already. It's down almost 8%. That's a pretty large number. So the high today was 406.41, 406.41. If I subtract from that the ATR for SPY, which is 1131. SPY could go to 495. But we're in this consolidation. And I don't see anything happening with the VIX to indicate that it's going to give way, unfortunately, because it's still hanging in there. It too is moving sideways. It may even be reversing. All right, still light volume here. But it does look like the VIX has found support and is actually starting to make a move to the upside. If you look at the 30-minute chart here, support on the 20-day EMA, on the 1 hour, it's back above the 5-day EMA, and on the 4 hour, we have a doji signaling continuation, which is now green. All right, so the SPY is going to decline. And I'm going to go ahead and buy a put on SPY. All right, so this is our second trade for the day. And we're going to watch this carefully and then make some decisions. All right, so it looks like we may be breaking out of this consolidation. All right, so if we look at the VIX, the VIX is starting to make a move to the upside. So 3384 is still an area of resistance, but this consolidation here and this breakout is significant. I'm going to keep an eye on the SPY. Try to recover some of our losses today. There's just a lot of volatility. So it looks like I don't know if we'll be able to do a whole lot for any length of time in any direction, at least until the market decides what it's going to do. So although I'm trying to trade this first hour, what I may do is just simply wait until between 11 and 11:30 and then make some decisions, because this is really a lot of volatility. And although I'm trying to show some techniques, I obviously don't want to use up or give back many of my gains. And right now, there's just an element of risk in the market that may not be good for trading at the moment, at least for options. So it would have been great to have bought here. Hindsight's 2020, as Dave says. Past performance, there's no indication and no guarantee of future results. It would have been great to have bought here, because then, of course, I could have traded to the downside. But I think that this move here, we need to stay below the 5-day EMA. And I'm going to stay in this until we get above the 5-day EMA and find support there. And if that happens, then I would exit. But I'll be looking to stay in this and to be profitable, and just watching for any kind of signal that it's going to reverse. So right now you see the 5-day EMA as resistance, as price got rejected at that level. We are out of this consolidation, which is good. So we're looking at the VIX. The VIX right now is our friend. I've recovered some of my account. Now down less than 9%, it was 11. And the VIX seems to be continuing to climb. This candle is going to close, and then that's going to be a spinning top, which signals continuation. All right, so now I'm less than 8% down. Ideally, I'd like to see the VIX break this 33.84. And then the next level of resistance for the VIX is going to be up here at 35.37. So if we can break this 33.84 and find support above here, that would make my heart sing. So keeping an eye here on what's happening with the SPY. So again, I think it's important to note that rather than trying to trade on the open, even though there could be significant gains made if we're able to get the direction right. There is an element of risk that is not worth taking. And, you know, as Dave has mentioned previously, singles, base hits, rather than home runs. So I think going forward, to ensure that we keep our risk down, we will go back to only trading after we've established an opening high and opening low, even though we may see a move that is taking off to the upside, not chasing it, not taking any of those risks, but just making sure that we make good, solid decisions based on the chart and market direction. So we're at 10:30, and I'm going to sit in this as long as it tells me that it's good. And again, looking at the VIX 3384 is where I expect to see some trouble, but if it breaks through that, then the SPY is going to accelerate to the downside. And currently, I'm at about 7.8% down on my account. So I'm up 22% on this trade. So I've gained back considerable amount of what I lost. My total account value is down now $99, and I'm not looking to give any more back to this market. So I'm going to close here, and I'll be joining the room with Dr. A and friends. Any questions before we close? So Princess, I just want to ask a question. Does it make sense what we did this morning? And you understand now, based on some of my decision making, that you can minimize risk by not trading on the open, by waiting for the opening high and opening low to be established, and then using the candles to determine, you know, what to do at that point, once you have an opening high, once you have an opening low, because then it takes a lot of the risk off the table. And if we had entered a trade here, even, or even here, then all of the losses that I had this morning, or the loss that I had this morning, wouldn't be an issue. I'd simply be positive in my account. But is that helpful to you to see the mistakes that I made?
Yes, it is. Especially, I don't know what it was about the opening high and opening low. I guess I thought it always had to be off that, off the initial candle. So to see the clarity on the opening high, you know, on how you determine that, that's great. So yes, it is. It's very helpful, Richard.
Okay, good. Yeah, so it can be off the opening candle. But if this candle here, for example, the second one, if it was a lower low than this one, then the opening low would have been down here. So it is actually the opening high and, well, let me rephrase that. No, you're right. This will still be the opening low. This will be the opening high. If this candle here, this green candle, had a low that was lower than this one, then the opening low would be here, and this would be the opening high on the first candle. But the first candle will mark the opening high or low. We just don't know which one it will be. And then the next candle gives you the opening high and opening low. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Perfect sense. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm looking at SPY here, and it's telling me that it wants to turn. And I'm looking at the VIX, and it's telling me that it also wants to turn because we've got a shooting star. So I'm going to have to look at this carefully and make some decisions. But I think the VIX is going to continue climbing, and I think the SPY is going to continue falling. All right, so this is a continuation, not a reversal. So again, I will exit this once I see some kind of signal that this is the bottom. If we don't make a new low here, and I continue to get these kinds of candles, then I'm going to take this profit and just wait. Also, if it turns against me and it finds support above the 5-day EMA and closes above the 5-day EMA, then I know it's turned against me. But I'm expecting it to get rejected off the 5-day EMA and then to start, again, continuous move to the downside. If it does that, then the behavior is what I'm anticipating and I'll stay in it. But if it turns against me, I'm going to get out. And right now I'm looking at a profit, so I want to make sure I don't give that up. Dave, any closing thoughts?
No, great job, Richard. Just in a bear market, I would wait for rallies to sell or buy puts.
Okay.
And the odds, you know, I understand what you're doing, but it seems to me like the odds are stacked in your favor if you go with the trend, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I really did anticipate that given the SPY has fallen 2% on a number of occasions, I mean, at some point it's going to make a reversal. And based on some of the things that we've talked about, you know, with Dr. A, 2% tends to indicate a reversal in SPY. Well, we haven't seen it yet, but I think it will come, and it could come today, this afternoon. So I am going to look at SPY calls at some point, but right now I'm trying to recover the funds that I've lost, and this trade's up 30%. So I'm just going to try and take advantage of it and get back to zero, and then try it again.
You went with the trend on the second trade, right?
That's correct. Yes.
How much easier that is.
Yeah, the market trend. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the market trend is down. No question about it. The one thing that I saw, though, was the breadth of the market. And let's take a look at this again. Maybe it has changed now. But looking here, yeah, so the market overall has turned bullish as well.
Markets turned bullish, is that what you said?
I'm sorry, bearish overall. We had this move up off the open where, again, we're looking at the percentage of S&P companies that are above their 50-day simple moving average. Those were moving up, which indicated to me that the market was moving to the upside overall, the larger market. But now that has changed, and the larger market has also decided it's going to take a step down. So if we look at the VIX now, we'll see that the VIX has broken through this level.
Looking good now. Look at that.
Yeah, the SPY is looking good. Exactly right. I'm only down 4% for the day. So I'm up 40% in that one trade. So, okay, I'm going to sit in this and watch and see if I can't recover off this trade. But I'm not going to be adding to my position. So I will not be averaging up or down again. That's just a recipe for disaster. All right, so thank you guys for your time today, and I hope you have a wonderful, prosperous day trading. And remember, again, past performance is no guarantee of future results. And I will see you on tomorrow.